My daughter's been playing around with it, like create a hacker cat or whatever, a cute hacker cat, and then it creates this thing. But I mean, like you said, some of it's so realistic, you have to look really carefully to see what's real and what's fake.
Yeah, and you know, there's going to be obviously a lot of regulatory problems with that, because, you know, we're going to have a situation, maybe not tomorrow, but sometime, where there's an image in a court and someone's trying to decide if it's real because it's really important for some case, right? And this hasn't happened yet, but it's not far off.
There's the famous example of Tom Cruise being an actor pretending to be him and putting out TikToks or something. And, you know, you have to look carefully.
You do. And actually, I made a joke on one of my videos that, you know, I don't look enough like Tom Cruise for this to work. And then the next day on Twitter, there was a video of me with the face of Tom Cruise just talking in my voice. You know, and it was pretty good, right? You know, the speed at which you can produce these things now is quite incredible.
I think I want to talk about like opportunities, because that's a big thing that people are interested in, and also like the worries, because I think people are worried that the jobs are going to be taken away. There's this concern that, you know, in the old days, technology was taking away perhaps factory jobs or basic jobs, and AI is going to take away a lot of like knowledge worker jobs.
I mean, at the moment, I don't think it is, in a sense that I think these AI tools are really impressive. But of course, when you actually really start putting pressure on them in terms of something really difficult, they start to fall down a little bit. So I think that, you know, your job's safe for now. But, you know, inevitably, eventually, we are going to have, you know, image generation that's so good that, you know, it is comparable to an artist. We're going to have text generation that's so good that it's comparable to a writer. I think as a society, we have to think about what we're going to do when that is the case. Now, there are huge other concerns like, you know, who owns the writing that an AI has produced? Is it maybe it's the people that trained it, right? Or maybe it's the text that went in to train it. So there's a lot of unanswered questions. I think in the short term, there's not a huge threat to sort of office work and things like this. You know, if your day-to-day job is, you know, coding, or your day-to-day job is data entry, or, you know, financial, you know, work with, let's say, spreadsheets or something like this, the ability of an AI to use these tools is still limited, right? It's impressive sometimes, but it is limited.
I've had feedback from people that it's great, for instance, to help with boilerplate, and I think you said exactly the same thing. Boilerplate code, it's great for doing certain things, but in our previous video, you mentioned the fact or the problem that it could write code that has vulnerabilities in it.
Yeah, so, you know, we don't know, because we haven't been told what all this data has been trained on, what these networks have been trained on. So, you know, there's going to be correct code that it's trained on. There's also going to be bugs in the code that it's trained on. And we don't know to what extent it will overcome these bugs, or they'll come out in the wash, or whether it will just repeat these bugs back to you when you use them. I know a lot of people who work for companies who have policies in place about the use of these tools, just from a safety point of view more than anything else, right? You know, if you've not got a sort of a set of human eyes on something, at the moment, we're not in a position where we can fully trust what we're getting out. And so, you know, if you're writing code for a living, by all means, use these tools to help you speed up. If that works for you, that's great. But I think that the idea that you're going to be able to go home and just let it churn away on its own, we're not quite there.
But it won't, and that won't be coming for a while. I've heard people say that artificial general intelligence is also a long way out. We might not even see it in our lifetimes.
Yeah, I think that will be broadly what I believe. AGI is a term that's used far too much in the modern conversation. I think because it's exciting sounding and it has, you know, sci-fi, you know, implications and stuff like this. But I think realistically, the majority of researchers think that, you know, in the next 5 or 10 years, we're just going to see better versions of what we have now.